India has delivered a blunt diplomatic message to Europe. Not to Washington, not to Beijing, but to Warsaw. On January 19th, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar publicly warned Poland against deepening ties with Pakistan, a country India says continues to shelter and sustain terrorist networks operating across South Asia. The message was unmistakable. Zero tolerance for terrorism means zero ambiguity. The warning came during delegation-level talks in New Delhi between Jaishankar and Poland's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski. And it was delivered on the record in Sikorski's presence.
Deputy Prime Minister, you are no stranger to our region and are more than familiar with the long-standing challenges of cross-border terrorism. I hope at this meeting to discuss some of your recent travels to the region. Poland should display zero tolerance for terrorism and not help fuel the terrorist infrastructure in our neighborhood. In recent past, both in New York last September and in Paris this January, I have candidly shared our views on the Ukraine conflict and its implications. While doing so, I have also repeatedly underlined that the selective targeting of India is both unfair and unjustified. I do so again today.
The backdrop is Poland's expanding engagement with Pakistan, engagement that New Delhi sees as deeply problematic. Last October, Sikorski visited Islamabad. That visit produced a joint statement, one that referenced Kashmir, a red line for India. Jaishankar did not name Kashmir directly. He didn't have to. Any international language that echoes Pakistan's narrative is unacceptable to India. Poland, unusually, has emerged as the only European Union state actively increasing political and economic engagement with Pakistan. Trade, energy, defense, education, even counter-terrorism operation. High-level talks throughout 2025 have driven pledges of deeper partnership, building on trade volumes already crossing $1 billion. Polish oil and gas firms alone have invested nearly $500 million in Pakistan's energy sector. From India's perspective, that money doesn't exist in a vacuum. India argues that Pakistan remains under international scrutiny for terror financing and support to militant groups operating across border. To New Delhi, expanding defense and energy ties with Islamabad risks indirectly strengthening the very infrastructure that fuels regional instability. To this, Sikorski responded cautiously but defensively. He agreed on the need to counter transnational terrorism, pointing to Poland's own experience with attacks on infrastructure and what he called attempted state terrorism. But the broader disagreement remained unresolved.
So completely agree with you on the unfairness of selective targeting by tariffs, and we in Europe know something about that also, and we fear that this is progressing to a global trade turbulence. I was very glad to be able to discuss with you in Paris the state of affairs in the format of Weimar Triangle Plus. And we are hoping that India will continue to stay engaged in Europe. We've noticed that you are establishing embassies everywhere in Europe, which means that you are serious.
India's core position was clear. Strategic partnerships cannot coexist with selective blindness on terrorism. The talks also widened to the global stage. Ukraine war, trade wars, economic pressure. Jaishankar took aim at what he described as the selective targeting of India for pursuing an independent foreign policy, a clear reference to punitive trade measures and tariff pressures linked to India's purchase of Russian oil. India and Poland elevated ties to a strategic partnership during PM Narendra Modi's visit to Warsaw in August 2024. Indian investments in Poland exceeded $3 billion, supporting local jobs and industries. Jaishankar called the relationship steady, but in need of constant tending. India's message to Poland was firm, public, and deliberate. Partnership is welcome, trade is welcome, engagement is welcome. But on terrorism, India says there is no middle ground. Monday's talks made one thing clear: New Delhi will deepen ties with Europe, but it will not stay silent when red lines are crossed. With Rudrishish Kanjilal, Bureau Report, India Today Global.